Hey guys, it's Scott Payne from PM Master Prep, and in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the last process. All right, we've made it through 48 processes. This last one is obviously the last one. So I'm very, very excited. You've done a ton of work up to this point. You should be very happy and very proud. You're building your skills and we're almost there. So closing process group, that's where we are, obviously. And we're in 4.7, close project or phase. And we're in the integration management knowledge area. So let's get started. All right, to summarize this process in its simplest form, your goal in close project or phase, it's to formally finalize all the processes and process groups. It's to get this project done. You want to finish this project, and this is how you do it, okay? In closing the project manager is going to review all the project plans that we have outstanding, from top to bottom, the major project plan, all the knowledge areas to ensure that all the project work is done and that the project has met its objectives. Now, all the way at the beginning, if you think about it, in the charter, we said, these are our objectives. These are our success criteria. Here is where we make sure that we've hit all the boxes. We've done everything that we think. So this is a very, very important step. Obviously, we're going to do some work before this to make sure we're on the path, but this is where we put everything together. It is a major integration process, right? And so we're going to ensure, like it says on the screen, that all our documents are up to date and all the issues are resolved. So where are we going to find issues? Issue log, right? We've been documenting those the whole time. So we're going back there, checking to see if we're all off the list. If there's certain issues on there that aren't resolved, obviously we'd handle them. And that's why it's super important that we maintain the issue log the entire time through. All right, we're also going to make sure that all our costs are charged to the correct departments and to the right project, department, whatever it is in the project. So all the costs are accurately assessed, right? Then once we are done with this process, not at the beginning right now, only when we're done, we're going to make sure that all our personnel are reassigned or off our project and put back to where they need to be, either back in the department, back in the PMO, or on different projects, okay? But we're not going to do that till we get through all the steps that I'm going to lay out here, okay? And then we're going to see that all the excess material and resources are returned back and reallocated, so that we can just clear the books for this project. We want to make sure that this is over officially and the correct way, all right? So another thing you got to realize is if the project is terminated, and a lot of times you get a PMP question like this, hey, the project was terminated before it finishes. And it essentially asks you, should you do all these steps in the closed project and phase? Yes, you got to. Whether it was closed prematurely or terminated for any reason, or it came all the way to fruition and finished in its way it should, you go through this step. So that is very important. And then let's look at this master point at the bottom. Every project, whether completed or prematurely terminated, just like I said, must be formally closed. So we're going to go through the step. That's the summary. Let's go through the let's go through the ITO. All right. A lot of stuff on this ITO. Let's start at the output, right? What did we say? Our goal is to produce something in this project, whether it's a product, service, a process improvement, something. So the second line on here, it says final product, service, or result transition. This is where the customer's already approved this, in monitoring control. They've already said, we accept this. It meets our expectations. They like it. Here's where you physically hand it over. Say, guys, it's yours. Congratulations. You now own this, right? And then that's a major output. Another big output is we're going to update all the documents, make sure they're good, focus on the lesson learned register, and we're going to create a final report that summarizes the cost performance, all the lessons learned, all the details, all the specs on the project, and then we're going to give it to both the sponsor, the customer, keep it internal, probably the PMO, right? And then we're going to update our organizational process assets. Everything that we learned, everything that we developed, maybe we created things, tools, templates, whatever, we're going to put it back in the hopper so that other people can benefit from us. So that's our outputs. As we jump to the inputs, let's think about what we have here. We're closing the project out. Let's start where we started with the charter. So the charter has a lot of the information, key objectives, success criteria, all these things that are defined at the beginning. We want to reference those from, the charter and say, did we meet everything? It's just a really good way to make sure that everything is in order, right? Obviously, we're going to look at all the project management plans, because that defines all the work that we're going to do. And then we also defined early in the project how we close this project out in the charter and in the project management plan. So we're going to follow those processes that we established early, right? All right, so then we have tons of these documents. Assumption log, I'm not going to read them all. Change log, issue log, that's a big one. And the lesson learned register. All these things. We're going to make sure that we go back into these and that we have finished them out. We have made sure that there's no outstanding items that we need to go, that we have forgotten about, no changes in the process that we're halfway done or in a review. Make sure that everything's closed out. It just makes sense. We got to make sure the books are all closed out. That's what we're doing here, right? And then obviously feeding into this process, we said we'd hand the documents or the process and the project or the products off to our customer physically. The things that came into this process is those accepted deliverables. So where did those acceptable deliverables come from? Validate scope, right? They came from validate scope, which is in the previous process group. So those are the inputs that we give directly to our customer and the outputs, right? Then we have the business case and the business management plan. Those are foundational documents that help drive us, and we can reference back off those. And then obviously if we have any agreements, if we have procurements, other kind of documents there, we want to assess those and make sure that we're doing everything in a very logical and correct manner. All right. So how do we transfer from everything that I just talked to over to the outputs, or transferring the product to the customer, the final report, updating the documents and the report? We use expert analysis or expert judgment. That's meaning bring your SMEs in, the people that close projects, everybody to look at the documents and make sure everything's done. And then we do a lot of analysis. How do we do as far as variance? What does our trend look like? What's the regression analysis? What's the document analysis looking at our documents? All these things, we just make sure that we analyze everything that we currently have, and that feeds how we create this final report. So that's a big time summary as I walk through that. Ton of information. Let's go in depth. All right, so the output. Like we said, big thing in the output is the transition of the final product to the customer. That's what we're trying to do here. Additionally, we're updating all the documents. That's big, big, big. Like I said, what's the big document we're updating? One of the big ones, lessons learned register. We want to start that early in the project, not just now, but now we go and talk to everybody. Hey, what'd you like? What worked? What didn't work? What did we learn? We compile that. We put it in the database, right? And then the final report summarizes everything: cost, performance, where we are now, lessons learned, the product, how it was delivered, all these things, so we can properly close it. So we create that final report. So like we said, final product, service, or result officially transitioned to the customer. Man, we're beating that dead horse, right? The document, sure that all the documents are put together, put as final, and then the lessons learned is the key document to be updated and stored. Now, as we go through this, guys, this is just one process, this closed project or process, and it's 7% of your exam. So it's not going to make or break you, but it's very important. And goodness, we can get a lot of points just by going through this. So this is really cool. And then remember, this other output is the final project report, and it provides a summary of the project performance, the cost, quality, schedule, risk, etc. that you can use, right? So what are the 3 things that we're going to do? Transfer the actual finalized product and service to the customer. Here you go, guy. Here's all the project documents that we did, and we organize those all, store them, and then we make sure that we have a final report. So those big 3. So I've talked about that over and over and over. You should know those big 3 right now, right? And the customer formally approves. Remember, we're handing this over, but the formal approval for the deliverables came in validate scope, and close project is where we hand them over. So we have really hit on that hard, and you're going to know all those things and all the different scenarios they throw at you in the PMP exam. But just think through what we talked about here and what we're trying to get across. Beautiful. All right, so we're going to jump back from the outputs to the inputs. We know where we're going in this process, and we've talked about it. Let's go back to the inputs. So the big thing we want to know is, in order to close this project and everything be kosher, we want to make sure that we've met all the completion criteria. That seems right, the big thing. And we want to make sure, are there any issues open? Are there issue log items that we need to close out and address before we get closed? And did we achieve the benefits of the project that we expected? The customer's going to care about that. Your bosses are going to care about that. Your team cares about that. And, for your career and success, you're going to care about that. So did we achieve the project benefits? That's something we need to analyze. Obviously, the charter, that's a foundational document. It set the success criteria, the approval criteria, and it set basic understandings of the benefits we're trying to achieve. Then the project management plan we want to look at to make sure that we followed through as deeply as we needed to on every single plan. So we look through there. And then look at all these documents. Whoa, issue log, risk report, basis of estimate, change log, quality control measurements, requirements document, lessons learned, all these things. Long and short of it is, we just want to make sure there's nothing out there that's hiding that we haven't hit on, issue log, risk report. And then we want to make sure, or the change, and we want to make sure that everything else has been closed out and organized. And then the lesson learned register. I guarantee you will see a question or two on the lesson learned register. You want to start documenting it as early as possible in our project. But right now, this is where we pull it all together and close it out. So we're going to reference all these documents and make sure they're all closed out. All right. So as we keep going, there's more inputs. Obviously, the accepted deliverable. That is the actual product specification that comes into this process that's handed over to our customer. So that's really awesome. And then the agreements. When we're dealing with any kind of procurements, you want to make sure that we operate toward the letter of the agreement. Make sure that contract terms are met so that we can satisfy that. Either if it's a subcontractor, people doing workforce, or we're operating under an agreement with a contract for our actual project. We want to make sure that we follow through how it's defined in the agreement to close out this project. Very, very important. And that is a key input. And then the procurement documents, how are we going to file documents? How are we going to collect documents, index them, make sure that we meet these and charge correctly? You just don't want to drop the ball at the end. So these procurement documents are key to this closed project or phase. Right. So now we know the outputs, what we're trying to deliver. We know all this information that we use. And now we go, how are we going to actually, modify this or evaluate this so that we can make the jump? We're going to use data analysis and expert judgment. Those are the really big things in the closed project or phase. Not that big, not that complicated, but they're used to what we need to do is analyze, summarize, and document all the documents and the performance that we have. If you think about it, you've been working hard. You've been cranking through this project. You got people working all over the country, the world, right? You've got to take some time, get some meetings, get your subject matter experts in a room. That's your expert judgment, and go, hey, let's analyze the documents, document analysis. That'll help you determine lessons learned and if anything's sitting out there. And then we also want to, for the lessons learned, go through some regression analysis potentially. Hey, what kind of relationship between these variables that we could use to produce better performance later? Did we learn something? We have a ton of data and information. Let's use it, right? And then we're going to be able to we're trying to get the lessons learned here. So trend analysis and variance analysis, what happened? This is the time before we lose all this information to really get your subject matter experts, your stakeholders, all these customers, et cetera, involved and say what worked well as far as what was planned and what were the actual results. And then what was the issues between them. You're going to learn a ton there. You're going to be able to put the lessons learned out there. It's going to be really positive, right? Okay, so now we've closed out the closed project. You know how to finish out this entire PMBOK from the beginning to the end. Now we have one more case study. So go see how John closed his project. Make sure you know the rules, you know the inputs, outputs, and tools and techniques. Watch for John. Make sure he doesn't miss anything, okay? I don't think he does, but you don't know. Go check it out. And then what you need to do after this is take the close box quiz in the simulator. And then you need to go into the simulator, start focusing your attention by process group, like we talked about, methodically finding your weaknesses and cleaning them up. Now, if you've gone through this class, you are well on your way to success on the PMP exam. We are extremely happy, extremely proud to have helped you go through this journey. You are going to be successful. As you go forth, I want you to leverage in the days coming up to the PMP exam everything that we have in the simulator. We have the ebook on the simulator where you can go and read, Okay, you can listen to the audio book if you'd like, if you want to go on your way to work or while you're jogging or anything else. Another way to take in information. This is going to help you. Also use a simulator. Go through methodical questions. Take questions by process group, knowledge area, full exam. Everywhere you need to do. You need to find your weaknesses and clean them up. And then the best thing yet is go to those study resources, the videos, the case study videos, the ITO inspector, the PM1 view, the EVM attack manual course. Everything that's in there is designed to help you. The above target student success secrets. If you haven't watched that, watch that. Real students who did really, really good on the exam and learned a ton, positive and negative, their lessons learned. So as we're closing out this project, you got to take advantage of their lessons learned. So if you got to get access to the above target student success secrets, get that. You're going to love it. Tons of interviews with real students, real successful, because that's what you're going to be. A real student who was very, very successful. So now my challenge to you is go out there, do those things I said, access all the resources, go to the private Facebook, get in the call, get in the group chats, put videos out there, engage, lean in even more, man. Go and contact me. I want to hear from you. Literally, Scott at PM Master Prep. I've said it 1 billion times. I'm going to say it again. Scott at PMMasterPrep.com. Contact me. So go through, study. You are going to pass. Let's do this. I'm very proud of you. Thank you for participating. Keep working hard and contact me with your above target score. Let's get going.